hello. Today, our topic is the Mandalorian. Now, overall, I can tell you I'm very much pleased with how it's turned out. It has what I like to call Star Wars magic, okay? It gives me that feeling that I had when I was younger, and I guess, I don't know, it's a nostalgia form, but I think it does it exceptionally well. That being said, George Lucas, and the George Lucas that was in 1970, whatever. I'm talking about him, not the fat man that lives at Skywalker Ranch, not Lucas after he made it. He's a genius. Clearly a genius. He's just a genius. And he came up with those wonderful movies, but he's still a product. He's still constrained to his time frame. And that's really why the Stormtroopers were so comically bad in the first movie. It wasn't a Stormtrooper thing. It wasn't the fact that Stormtroopers couldn't hit because they're the Galactic Empire. I mean, they're the greatest force in the galaxy. Something that could... There's... The story's set up so that they're really almost insurmountable, and yet they are very mountable. And so, I don't know. I hate them. I hate Stormtroopers. They're iconic and they're cool. And I mean, who doesn't like looking at the Stormtroopers? That's fun. I had a buddy that got a Stormtrooper costume and he made it on WTF Army Moments when he wore it to PT in Korea. You know, that's the Stormtroopers like a cultural phenomena thing, but their incompetency is just so profound. Who cares when you see one die now? Do you give a shit? Do you think it's fun? Do you think it's cool when you see Stormtroopers die? It's not. There's too much of them getting killed. A gripe that I've heard of plenty of people bring up is the fact that the Mandalorian doesn't know what Jedi are. You know, there's people that just like, the Jedi were there across the galaxy, blah, blah. Okay, first of all, you know who else didn't know what the Jedi were? Luke. Luke had no clue what the Jedi were. And he was born really right at the end of the Jedi, so he should, you know, there should be some... No, but he didn't know. Why? Because he was a peasant. He was a spice farmer at the edge of the galaxy, okay? The Mandalorian, I know he gets around, but guess what? He's a cultist. He didn't even know that there were other Mandalorians, okay? So I forgive them. I totally forgive them for going that route of not knowing what the Jedi were, even though the Mandalorians and the Jedi have a very tense history. I can't just shoot them down because it's kind of this era, and even though it's set after Episode 6, I really feel like it embodies A New Hope, this sort of used future kind of aesthetic, and so that's just another part of it. But really, it's kind of I don't know. This is, it's all nitpickery, right? And I'm telling you, it wouldn't be such a deal if it wasn't for small galaxy syndrome. You see, Disney will never take chances. Now, if you look at any Disney movie or any sort of media, okay, it's everything there is surface level. There's not a whole lot to digest outside of the emotional, or even there's a philosophical side to things. You know, you can apply them to real world, but in terms of the internal workings of whatever's going on, you know, what you see is what you get. There's really not a whole lot of room for imagination. The imagining was done in the storyboard room in the back by a bunch of execs or whatever. They did the imagining. You're just there to watch, okay? And you're going to see just a lot of familiar things. And this is kind of holding true with Star Wars and kind of not. Because, I mean, if you look at the first movie, maybe Luke's a Mary Sue, so maybe I'll shoot him down for that. But even if you didn't like the very first movie, you should like the spectacles. I mean, every single scene, there's stuff that doesn't have to be there. There's mouse droids on the Death Star. Did they have to be there? Did they have to have little... Did they have to have that there? Did they have to have all those freaky guys in the bar at Mos Eisley. Did they have to have all of them? Did they have to have that cool guy with the thing on top of the Yavin base tracking the Millennium Falcon? He has that thing, the tracker or whatever. Did they have to have all that in the first movie? No. In fact, if you look at movies of that time, or especially before, you get one spectacle. Any one of these spectacles I talked about is an entire movie. And so that's what makes Star Wars so great. But I can see now how they're balancing this idea of image, because you can continue to produce new spectacles. I think, if anything, the sequels did right. They pretty much did that right. I mean, there were some cool looking things besides the milk cow thing. There were some really bad looking things, but there were some cool things too. But it's just like, how do you reinvent yourself while holding on to that image? Like, it's true to Star Wars to provide spectacles, but there's these spectacles that we already associate with it. So I don't know. I don't know how much further they could really be pushing the envelope here, but I feel like the first season did a better job of this than the second one. Okay, there were those funny little people that were attacked by the ATST. There were the Jawas. There was a lot of nuance, and if things weren't new, they were being used in new ways. I mean, I still got excited to see the ATST, and this comes to really a strange. I mean, it's something I've been griping about, but now that I actually have it, it's bittersweet. This show is not meant for the younglings. Okay, I had the younglings, or my buddy. He had an 18-year-old, I think, like a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. Okay, and of course I'm making generalization here, but the 12-year-old wouldn't have it. The 14-year-old wouldn't have it. The 18-year-old, she watched the last episode and she was totally into it. I mean, it's so it's got subtlety. I think the subtleties in the dialogue, and it's kind of like making things connect. But like the episode of Mandalorian when Boba Fett was on didn't inspire the younglings. And I mean, mind you, one of them has ADHD really bad, but then again, so do I. And so I feel like, I don't know, it's definitely more for the older generation. And of course that's a relative term, older. But is it their fault? Is it really the younglings' fault that they weren't into it? I mean, I've talked this show up, but it's mediocre. It's really just mediocre. It just seems like with the last episode, the one I'm talking about, they just found a reason finally to have Boba Fett on the thing on stage, but Boba Fett is shown to be nearly Jedi level in terms of just killingness. He is a wrecking ball, and so it's hard for me to believe that he wouldn't have just taken it from the Marshal, his armor. But then again, the Marshal was whoever plays the Marshal, that guy from the Santa Clarita Diet. He's so fun to watch on TV, and so if it was just an excuse for two different cameos, I'll forgive it. I'll forgive it. To be honest, I mean, I was watching it more because I was invested, but an episode with Boba Fett, it didn't seem that. I don't know. It didn't seem that incredible. They blew up the Mandalorian ship, that cool like Republic gunship looking thing, and you know what? Because I was growing with the ship, I really like this theme about how the ship is changing and like getting increasingly worse. I like the idea that it's pre-Imperial, so it doesn't need a transponder. I was invested in the ship, but when they killed it, I didn't feel that cord sever. I didn't feel my attachment. And I think it's just because the pace for the second season is just so unbearably like linear. I don't know. The first see one of the strong things about the show, and it really shows off in the first season, are all the different directors. Now, I am a fan of compilations of short stories, and so in these short story books, you could be looking at 300 pages, and you're gonna get 12 to 50 pages that are just insanely good writing. The rest of it's fan fiction, and I'm cool with that ratio. I'm cool with sifting through the shit just to find the kernels of corn, because they're golden. They're magnificent. They're going to be worth it. It's worth it. And so I guess I'm not applying that same logic here, just because, like, I don't know, it should be better. The first season, I was watching the documentary with a vid doc and about how they made it, and there's this lady, and she's like tall and Asian or something, and she's just like, yeah, I just like killing stormtroopers, and lo and behold, her whole episode was just about killing stormtroopers. I mean, that was it. Okay, and I've already gotten to the ramp, but I feel like in the first season you have, I mean, I already talked about it. You had different stories. I wrote down speeder bike. Oh yeah, the speeder bike guys. That was great. That was one of the most incredible moments in Star Wars. The speeder bike guys in the first one. I mean, everyone remembers them because they punched Grogu, Baby Yoda, and that was the thing. They just decided, oh, I hate him. It felt like being a soldier. When I was a soldier, that was the kind of stuff we would do and talk, and just we were waiting. And Taika Waititi understood some quintessential part of the human experience. It was supposed to be a satire, and they even did the thing where they shot at a rock with their blaster pistols and missed. But besides that, it was fantastic. It was just this special little moment. You got to see all the power of Disney, all $4 billion, focused on just little insignificant points, just one little intimate detail that just felt so much more alive than this stuff in season 2, where it's, I mean, I don't know. The whole Ahsoka, if they're not killing stormtroopers, they're killing stormtrooper-like things. If the guys become stormtroopers, they have such a thirst to kill that everything is just a stormtrooper without armor. And so the episode with Ahsoka should have been so much better. I was actually the beginning of it was great, because there's these guys, they're running through the forest, they're shooting something that's destroying them, just ripping them apart. And you don't know what it is. I thought it was some sort of like wind elemental or something. And are they Imperial? Well, they look kind of Imperial. Are they wearing armor though? Blah blah blah, back and forth. And it's Ahsoka, and that's cool or whatever. So there's a Jedi, which, you know, Star Wars Jedi. That's cool to have them, even though it's kind of an offshoot of that. It's just so dumb and inconsistent. Like the lieutenant with the lady with the spear, she's like, we got to stop Ahsoka. And her lieutenant is like, yeah, we'll be ready. Yeah, we'll be ready for her. And so she shows up by herself without even the Mandalorian helping her in. And she only has to kill 2 guys on the wall. Like that was it. That was the battle. She's in, and she's just carving everyone to pieces, just nonstop. The torture cages were pretty cool. I did like the story behind the bad guys. It was interesting. It was interesting that they were just ruthless bad guys, and I don't know. But why would he say that? Why would he say we'll be ready? Is he just trying to bide his time? Like, does he not want to be punished by the lady in charge? And if so, does he not, like, if he's just pulling the wool over her eyes and she's that dumb, even though she's made out to be a very competent character? Do you think How long is this ruse gonna last? I guess. How long was he planning on this ruse lasting? Did he plan on Ahsoka taking everything? I don't know. It was a dumb plan, and he sucked. It was kind of quirky and clever how he and the Mandalorian kind of had a moment like, who's gonna win, my side or your side? Of course you know who's gonna win, but it was good. It was good direction, but this could be so much more than just killing. This is it's supposed to be about not even a cozy little corner of the galaxy, but these large scale skirmishes. Just they don't. I don't know. They almost break the tone. I mean, it's going for the Western, and who's in the Western movies? It's the cowboy and his assistant, and maybe some disposable friends, like the cover during the but the battle doesn't happen after the cavalry shows up. When the cavalry shows up, that's when it's over. Okay, so just these episodes with Mandalorians and jetpacks just jumping in and flying around, and it just loses focus. And I guess Star Wars needs to have war battles, but and it does it season 1 and season 2. But at least in season 2, you get to learn a bit about the Mandalorians, and it was a revelation for me. I'll tell you this: it was a revelation for me to learn that he was actually just a part of a really like culty like sect of Mandalorians. I thought that, I mean, and I played KOTOR, so I know what they are, and I thought he was those kind of Mandalorians, but he's not. Whatever. It was great because it caught me on the back foot the same way it caught him. And there's these moments. There are these moments, if you listen closely, they do give you little spectacles. You just got to be on top of your feet. So and that's pretty nice. I think it's mediocre overall. I mean, I was trying to figure out how to really describe this show to you, but I would call it good bad. I wouldn't even call it mediocre. I would call it good bad because it does so good. It does so good in having these costumes and having him sound cool and give you these Mandalorian moments. Like the Mandalorian, the intimacy, it's incredible. You know, I want to be the Mandalorian. I want to be Pedro Pascal and have the armor and I want that for me. That sounds so cool. But it's become this thing where instead of finding the MacGuffin, he's just trying to get rid of the MacGuffin, which is Grogu. And it's like hot potato, except the Mando is the only one that's playing. And I'm not convinced that he's ever going to get rid of Grogu because the show would end. So it's not going to happen in season 2, maybe 3 or 4 or whatever. But, you know, Grogu's going to go on and they're going to be separated when the show's ready to end because I hate myself for this, but I like him. I like Grogu. I didn't want to at all. I rolled my eyes in the back of my head so bad when I first saw him revealed. Just because, like, I was getting these Jar Jar vibes from him. Not so much that he has these long, ridiculous scenes, but he's this, like, softness. But you know what? It's actually fantastic because the Mandalorian's growing. He's changing. The first episode, he's nothing but a gruff bounty hunter, and now he's having to make some tough calls. And his growth seems, for the most part, organic. Unfortunately, his friends are just everything they do extremely well, but they're all one-trick ponies. Okay, you got the contractor, and I don't know, he's definitely got, and this is probably me thinking too much racially, but he's definitely got these kind of Lando Calrissian kind of vibes, where you know this kind of Mando, kind of like, and it kind of just, he kind of just brightens everything up. He just brightens everything up. I don't think that he should ever be allowed to direct again because he was responsible for so many stormtrooper deaths. And okay, stormtrooper deaths, right? What is this time period? Okay, this is after the fall of the Empire. Okay, and so maybe they're doing some recruiting programs. Maybe in some places there's still Imperial sectors or something. Maybe let's just assume that there's some sort of Imperial infrastructure or pieces of it still pieced together, right? Just gum stuck together. I don't think that there are as many stormtroopers in the galaxy as the Mando killed. All right, the first time you see them, there's like 8 of them or something, and they're guarding the general, and it's just like this, like, oh my god, stormtroopers, like they're still around, and that's this whole atmosphere of just like, really. But then the second one, they just have hidden bases just filled with the guys, and they have ships filled with the guys, and even after 30 minutes of killing them, it's just there's more. There's just more and more and more, and whatever. I don't think I don't, and so that got me off on a tangent. So he's cool. The Ugnaught guy, probably my favorite character, died in the first episode season, which is fine. They really reinvented the Ugnaught. They did a mix of the new and the old. I really like the girl with the muscles. I didn't think I would. I thought at first that she was a feminist plug-in, but then I quickly realized the opposite on every spectrum. She's just a badass, and she kind of introduced this idea of rebel commandos. I'd never, really thought about a special forces branch of the rebels, and does it really fit their aesthetic off the bat? No, but like we said, trying to keep true to your roots, but change your image. She's a fine addition. I find that rebel commandos are very they fit in. There was the robot too. I kind of wanted the robot to still be evil, but I guess there's a redemption arc there or something. The robot was cool just because he could look around, and the way he fought was cool, and the way he threatened to self-destruct was cool. And so they had like a Super Friends moment at the end of the first. And so you really got this payoff, this kind of like, okay, everything led into this. It was like Mass Effect 2, where, the Mando's gathering a crew for the big heist or whatever at the end. And so that was a payoff, but I just revisiting these characters in the second season is like, I don't know, it's just like touching this the drain, the stuff left at the bottom of the drain and sink. It's just like, like it's there and it's still gonna be there, but it's just one of those things that it's like, do we really need to revisit this again? The Mando does best when he has a sidekick. I mean, Baby Yoda and a Mando, they're kind of a yin and a yang. I wouldn't even really consider, okay, maybe Yoda's a sidekick. I don't know. But he does best with some on-screen adult, how they, like, solve a problem. It's kind of almost like Batman, where Batman's constantly changing to fight his enemies. Well, the Mando's constantly changing to complement his friends. And that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, and I it's kind of the fun theme behind it. But revisiting these characters in season 2 just seems so fruitless. I don't know. There's no payoff. It seems like Wreck-It Ralph 2, where they're mentioning the Avengers and all the Marvel stuff, and it's just like It's fan service. It's fan service for fan service, not fan service for fans. But it's like, I don't know. It's this meta thing that I don't. I mean, I know they have the actors, and I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make an ensemble, but the chemistry is just, it's not present enough. And when it is there, you're not making new leads. It's just like you've earned the loyalty for all these guys, and now they're just gonna do whatever they want for you or Baby Yoda. The one character though that is welcoming for me for some reason is the mechanic lady with the pit droids. She's just quirky enough. They have her on screen just enough for her to get some lines in, for me to think she's sassy, and then for the pit droids to fuck something up. It's great. It's her routine. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Okay, I can get enough of it, but she's fantastic. I follow Victor Von Doomcock, and I guess I'm just going to regurgitate some of the stuff he says. You could probably listen to it better if you want to sit through all his rambling. But The Mandalorian is more or less, from the rumor mill, a reaction from Disney to the way the fans kind of reacted to the sequel trilogy. It is trying to do its best with doing away with these social justice themes, and I think I could see that. And I don't want them. I think there's a balance, maybe. I think that if you think about the themes like I am, you're too invested in them. So I mean, I would like cooler heads, just a little bit of it. I mean, was the lesbian kiss at the end of that one movie? Was it a big deal? I wouldn't have noticed. If I didn't watch the movie, so I didn't really notice. But if it just happened in the background, who would know if it wasn't on all these newspapers and stuff? And so there's a synthesis here between Lucas's 1970 vision and what we have now. And I'm only saying this because we have to progress. We have to move forward, because I'm sick of these tropes, these dumb fucking stormtroopers. If I have to deal with a lesbian kiss or Finn and the other guy, Finn and Poe, both having these weird little like moments, I don't care. I want improvement. I want to see things move forward. And I like The Mandalorian because I watch it with my neighbors. It's something fun. It's something for us to all come together and do. And it kind of just segues into the next. Oh yeah, I guess the next thing. But what I was getting to with the social justice stuff is, it seems like the cast is more or less divided on one side of the aisle or another. And without going into what side of the aisle I am, I don't like it. I don't think, oh, they're on my side or they're not on my side. I think that maybe these actors shouldn't be making these dumb tweets from either side. Okay, I mean, I don't like it. It's just I want an escape from the bullshit that's happening right now. Okay, I'm sure, of course, I have a side that I like, but I'd rather when I'm in Star Wars, I shouldn't have to pick one of those sides. I want to pick another side. Okay, so I do believe that anyone should be able to voice whatever they want, and that Disney really doesn't have a lot of a say in what people can tweet. But at the same time, I wish those people would just be more conscientious of their audience. I mean, there are heroes. These people, I don't know, they're my hero. Pedro Pascal is my hero. I mean, The Mandalorian, he's so cool, and I don't want to associate that with anything else, okay? I don't know. I'm not saying it ruined the experience for me, but I am saying that there's certain things that I withhold from my friends that I don't even bring up, that I learn about on this show, because I just want their experience to remain more pure, and I wish I didn't look in all the nasty places that I did. Apparently, according to Victor Von Doomcock, Disney Plus has millions of subscribers, and yet 60,000 people was the sum total of how many viewers tuned in on the first day season 2 came out. And that's preposterous. That's absolutely preposterous that such a small portion of people show up. And I think there's just a general Star Wars fatigue. I think they hit us just so hard and fast with those sequels that people are kind of, and I mean, um, this is getting kind of into, who are the prequels for? Who's the Mando for? The younglings don't care anymore. I mean, it didn't have that after the Force. Okay, I liked the Force Awakens when I watched it the second time in IMAX and 3D. I think it was a fantastic visual experience. I don't think it was a great Star Wars experience, but in terms of that, it was fun to watch. The things that happened were fun to see and fun to hear. And so it kind of had that Michael Bay kind of a twist to it. But why? Just tell me this: why at Target or wherever, or Walmart, would I see a toy for Ray's speeder bike that shoots missiles? Like what? What does that say? Now, Star Wars should be about the merchandise. That was kind of the model. Okay, you have this incredible intellectual property. I mean, I remember my stupid snow speeder that I had. The action figures, the laser cannons came off, and I chewed on the ends of them like some sort of feral mutt. I remember that thing, and I loved it as a kid. And it was so cool, just because it was a representation of something I'd seen on the screen. But Ray's bike does not have a missile launcher, okay? And if it did, it wouldn't be helpful. It just what. Is she some sort of raider? I mean, what would she do with that? I mean, we're talking about heavier firepower than the speeder bikes that the scout troopers use, and so there's this disconnect between making money and what they're presenting you, and I think there's just an overall fatigue. We had it with zombies, we had it with vampires. We're having it right now with superheroes. Marvel didn't release anything in 2020, and they wouldn't have done that. I mean, if they could have gotten away with it. And now we're going to see Star Wars get run to the ground as well, which bittersweet. I think that Disney will. No, they'll never let go of Star Wars. They'll never let it go. But maybe. I don't know. They'll realize that the only way to make money off it is off the nerds. And so maybe there'll be another glorious years or set of years where we get Star Wars video games and cartoons and just like that early 2000 heyday was just incredible. I just watched the Clone Wars, the cartoon, not the CGI one, but the cartoon on YouTube. The whole hour of it's there. Those little 5 minutes, it's amazing. And I mean, I'm stuck between two things. I'm stuck between telling you, look, you gotta watch The Mandalorian, okay? You gotta watch The Mandalorian. So they'll keep making more of it, so I get that Star Wars experience. But also, I'd ask you to let it die. Just let it die. I'm watching it because I'm watching it with my neighbors, and it's a fun, sort of wholesome evening. But if you don't have a reason, and you don't feel compelled to watch it, don't watch it, I guess. It's the only reason. It's the only reason to own Disney Plus. Okay, I'll tell you this: outside of those fantastic VHS cases, the Disney movies, the cartoons and stuff, didn't really age as well as I thought they did. Having every single Disney thing at the tip of my hands and censored Simpsons episodes is just so underwhelming. Absolutely underwhelming. There's no reason to watch Disney Plus, or you're gonna pay $30 to see Mulan. You're gonna you're gonna pay on top of your subscription to watch something. Why? No, the Mandalorian is the only thing keeping Disney Plus together, and Disney is not going to abandon its streaming service. The wonderful thing about them having a streaming service is they don't have to tell anyone their numbers. They can tell anyone whatever they want. It's theirs. And so Disney Plus won't die. They need it there. As far as I can tell, they're finally getting on board the whole streaming service bandwagon. And I mean, just letting that go. What are they? They're just going to start it all up again later with another startup? No. They're counting on it taking shape later, decades, or maybe 5 years down the road, whenever it'll still be relevant. And so the Mandalorian's not going anywhere. And I don't know. I think it's cool to see the creative potential from so many different directors, but I think the only way Dave Filoni could get away from this bullshit SJW focus that the series had is just getting rid of all the focus, just having almost no focus. And because the show does not seem focused, it seems like it's sometimes the Western, and then that comes to all the different actors, directors. But I'm hoping they can kind of just figure out that Dave Filoni is the only person there really qualified to write shit. He's the only one. Taika Waititi's cool. He did the speeder bike guys. He's cool, but is he Star Wars? I don't know. There's a lack of enthusiasm for this show, and I can understand why. The second season is just so slow. I mean, he spends like the first 2 or 3 episodes transporting eggs, and he's stuck on an ice planet. I mean, it was so boring, so boring. I thought there was going to be some intrigue with the lizard people, but no, they're literally just trying to save their family. They're not trying to save their race. If you listen to them, it isn't about genocide. It's not about the end of their species. Baby Yoda isn't a genocidal maniac because he ate those babies. Baby Yoda just ate some of the frog people's family. They never talked about the end of their race. They talked about the end of their line. And so there's people freaking out about Baby Yoda being genocidal is dumb. But once again, yeah, I'm just gonna bitch about the MacGuffining in the second season. He's just going here and there, just trying to get rid of Baby Yoda, and it's just like, yo, you're the dynamic duo. I don't know. The one, I guess the coolest thing about this show, and maybe it's just because I'm not really into a lot of shows, is it feels like watching television again. It feels like tuning in, maybe not the prime time, but to something from the 90s, some sort of incredible science fiction like Star Trek or something. Something like that. You know, it feels kind of like that. If it has that same kind of production value, sort of rhythm to it, and old records and dead horses. TTFN, ta for now.